The coronavirus has affected most people living in the United States to some degree, whether it be taking online classes via Zoom or just staying at home to prevent the spread of the disease. As of May 1st, 2020, there has been over 1 million reported cases of COVID-19, and medical researchers are working hard to find a vaccine. Vaccines are important because they protect people from serious illnesses and diseases as well as the associated complications. Vaccination has led to a large decline in the number of U.S. cases of several infectious diseases such as measles, chickenpox, polio, etc. To better understand the process and issues that arise in making vaccines, we apply the concept of statistical thinking. First, we must understand the process of making vaccines. Then, we must analyze the process variation. We examine why the invested resources for vaccines do not match the expected product turnover. Next, we would look at the changing process of vaccine making, like how to minimize factors that increase variation. Finally, we examine controlling the process, and the cycle continuously repeats in order to minimize variation. One issue with the development of new vaccines is how long it takes to get through clinical trials. With all the research that must be done, these trials can take anywhere from a couple years all the way up to 15. The reason this process must be taken slowly is because if you rush a vaccine without proper testing and results, it could be a harmful vaccine that could end up doing more damage to your body. Because of this, there are 3 phases to vaccine trials. Phase 1 trials test whether the vaccine is safe, and they usually last about 6 months. Phase 2 trials examine how well the vaccine works in creating an immune response within volunteers, and they last up to about a year. Phase 3 trials track the effectiveness of a vaccine in preventing infection in people who are being exposed to the pathogen. This phase could take 3 or more years and depends on the virus remaining active long enough for participants to be exposed to it.
Now we will talk about productivity gap. This describes a situation where the resources used in an industry do not match the expected product turnover. Some of the reasons for the productivity gap in vaccine development are rising costs of research and development, biological and technological challenges due to targeting more complex diseases, competition with better care standards, larger scales of clinical studies in order to improve the safety and effectiveness, and the increasingly strict regulatory standards, as well as the difficulties and cost of collecting more data or better data. Also, for productivity gap, you have bottlenecking. A bottleneck is the slowest step of a process that limits the overall output. Some of the biggest bottlenecks in vaccine research and development include the lack of a large-scale manufacturing capacity, a sometimes fragile supply chain with China, where the US sources almost all of its medicine, and strict government regulations.
The vaccine risk profiles for selected disease areas are shown in the following graph. Vaccines that were in development from 1998 to 2009 are depicted. The dataset contains 605 vaccine candidates for humans during any stage of the vaccine's development. From the graph, it appears that as the number of years a vaccine is in development increases, so does the probability of a successful market entry. In recent years, a productivity gap has been plaguing the pharmaceutical industry, and thus vaccines. This productivity gap has increased due to reasons such as the increasingly strict regulations and rising costs of research surrounding vaccine development. This is especially important as we look forward and make changes to shorten the productivity gap so as to be more prepared and better equipped to handle any future widespread diseases.